If you've been struggling to get your first real placements or to just get them more consistently, then this video is just for you. So I'm about to share with you 4 simple things that you can start doing today that's gonna help you get those placements you always dreamed about. These are all things I've done myself to be able to make music and do creative things full time for the last 3 years, so I know you'll find this information useful too. First up is to make sure that you're networking effectively. Being in sessions face to face with the artist is the best way to make music and get placements as a producer, but you can't just walk into these sessions with your favorite artist and start cooking up right away. Basically, every producer started off either in their bedroom or in small practice studios, but they all climbed up the ladder one ring at a time before making it to the top. Meeting the right people and making connections will open up opportunities for you as a producer, and this is where networking comes in. This doesn't mean spamming the comment section of every YouTube video with links to your songs, or sending thousands of spam emails to a list of rappers you bought off some sketchy Discord server. This means collaborating and working with other artists and producers with the same goals as you and coming up together. Let's say you have a type beat channel, but you want to start sending the loops that you make out to other producers for other opportunities. That means you're probably going to want to try and send your loops to producers who are either A, working in the industry and actively getting placements, or B, they have enough of an online presence to where they can sell beats and get placements all on their own. One way to find newer producers that you might want to work with is by looking up production credits on Genius.com. You can look up releases from artists you like or that are in the same genre of beats that you make, and look at the producers who are actually making the beats and being on these projects. You're gonna find a lot of bigger names when you're looking through these, but you might find a lot of newer and more obscure producers too who might be a good fit for you to reach out to and try and work with. It's easier to try and work with these producers because they have a lot less people in their DMs trying to send them loops, instead of producers like Metro Boomin or Southside whose DMs are probably flooded and you're never gonna have a chance of getting through to them. You can also look up song credits on Spotify too, but this doesn't always have the right information because a lot of producers and writers aren't even credited properly on these releases. Next up, you're gonna wanna make sure that your beats are actually placement ready. This doesn't just mean that your beats sound good, this means that your beat is ready for an artist to take and listen to and sit down with and start writing to. You're gonna wanna make sure your beat is mixed and mastered properly so that sounds clean and hits hard, because unmixed and unpolished beats are just gonna not sound good to the artist and they're just gonna skip them. And then aside from the mix, you're gonna also wanna make sure that your beats have enough space for the artist to actually hop onto. Those crazy hi-hat and snare rolls every 2 seconds and 808s panning on both sides all the time may sound sick on their own, but an artist is gonna have a hard time trying to find the pocket in these beats and actually find space to write to. And then they're gonna get overwhelmed and just look for another beat that's easier to use. This doesn't mean you have to dumb down your beats and only use 2-step hi-hat patterns. It just means you gotta get more creative on how you introduce these complex ideas into your beats. One way to make sure you're not doing too much musically is to compare your beats to songs in the mainstream, like popular songs that are professionally mixed and mastered, or other songs that you're influenced by. You'll be surprised at how simple a lot of these beats are. Like, a lot of my favorite songs are literally just a 2-step hi-hat pattern and a basic clap and snare, and that's it. And there's also plenty of tracks with busier and more complex beats that you can study and break down and analyze why that works and why these complex rhythms don't get in the way of the artist. You're also gonna wanna make sure that the actual arrangement of your beat is dynamic and keeps the artist engaged throughout the entire song. Having the same 8-bar pattern looping over and over may sound sick at first, but it'll get old quickly if new elements aren't introduced and being swapped around, and the artist is gonna get used to the sound and get bored of it and switch to another beat. I like having FX in certain sections of my beats to build up tension during transitions, and I also filter out certain sections and cut the drums so that the beat can breathe and the artist has a little bit more space in like a bridge section or something like that. Doing this will make it a lot easier for artists to make good songs to your beats, which will ultimately lead to more placements coming your way. Next up is every producer's favorite advice to give out on YouTube, and that's to stay consistent with your strategy. If you break down the process of networking and sending your music out for placements, it's essentially you building up a contact list that you send content to regularly, whether that's you sending out beats to artists or loops to producers. To see success with sending out your music for opportunities like this, you're gonna have to be consistent with your strategy for a long amount of time so that you can give all those seeds that you're planting time to grow and turn into the opportunities that you want them to. If you have trouble releasing new beats or sending out new loops regularly, then it's gonna be harder for you to build the reputation that's needed for that list of artists to trust you and use your stuff regularly. Being consistent will benefit you no matter what strategy you're using, whether you have a type beat channel, or you're sending out loops for placements, or if you're just making social media content. Don't be blinded and misguided by overnight success stories you see online. Those are anomalies and they're not the norm. Most careers in music and creative fields like this take years, if not decades, to come into fruition. So don't get discouraged because you're not seeing success and growth even within the first few years of trying this. Pursuing a career in music is a marathon, not a sprint. So keep that in mind when coming up with these strategies and staying consistent with them. And my last tip for getting more placements is to start your own wave with your own unique sound, or be early on to a similar newer wave. This means different things depending on your situation. If you're posting type beats, then ideally you're targeting keywords with high search traffic but low producer competition. That means that there's a demand that's not being supplied, so it's an opportunity for you to come in with your beats and step in to get that traffic. For example, my channel blew up when I started to post Sofego type beats, which coincidentally was around the time his song Off the Map started to blow up, and he started to get a whole lot of attention from the mainstream hip-hop world. Because I was at the right place at the right time with posting those types of beats on my channel started to grow like never before, and with it came a lot more sales and opportunities. This advice is the same even if you don't have a type beat channel. Ideally, you want the artists that you work with to have big come-ups like Sofego, but you're gonna need to be tapped in with them before that success happens. Because when that success does come their way, their DMs are instantly gonna be flooded, and it's gonna be a lot harder to get their attention and break through the noise of everybody else trying to work with them. Like, unless you're already a huge industry producer, you're not gonna be able to DM Drake and get in a session with him. But if you're already in his circle when he came up, then you're already there to keep working with a big artist like that. I know that's kind of a crazy example, but I hope you know what I mean. This will happen naturally if you network like I told you earlier in this video, because these artists that you're meeting and working with are gonna keep growing over time, and some of them are gonna stand out and start to see a lot more success compared to the others. This is also the same when it comes with posting loop kits or certain types of sound kits. If you're the first producer to be on a wave or among the first, then you're gonna eat before everybody else that comes onto the bandwagon late. These are all things I've done myself in the last few years to be able to get placements and have a career in the music industry. But if you wanna learn more gems about becoming a full-time music producer from somebody with 20 years of experience in the game, then make sure you watch the video linked on screen right now.